morning, everyone. How are you? I hope you enjoyed hearing Nick Taylor. Hi, Neil. How are you? I hope you all enjoyed hearing Nick Taylor this morning. I loved it, and I love the fact that he debunked Maslow's hierarchy, because I've got a Maslow's hierarchy slide in here, so that's amazing. It's a really great start. So what I'm going to be doing is talking about innovation, not in a technology way, but really thinking about reward in a more holistic way, including mental health, well-being, and talking about some of the great impacts we've had at Just Eat. So who is Just Eat? How many of you have called or gotten on your phone in the last week and had someone bring something to your house? I have. It's that last mile. And Just Eat is a hybrid organization, which means that we support restaurants in your local neighborhood to bring you their great food. We have two ways that happens. The first is Granddad gets on the moped and wheels it around the corner to your house. The second is, in direct result of the entrance of Deliveroo and Uber Eats, we are now providing couriers in the UK. We're piloting it in Italy as well. And that is related as well to a business that we acquired a couple years ago in Canada called Skip the Dishes. They have real expertise around delivery, and so we are moving together around that. We do have a very diverse customer base, 27 million active customers, and just about 4,000 people worldwide. So when I arrived at Just Eat about a year ago, what I came to find was every reward director's dream, and that was a United States of different countries, and not United States in the sense of my homeland. They were all operating very independently of one another. They had very different approaches to reward, to benefits, and well-being and mental health well-being wasn't even on the agenda. What that meant was that we weren't getting the kind of leverage out of our business that we needed to, and we had different countries operating in a way that wasn't always cooperative and wasn't always for the better good of the organization as a whole. So we've done a lot of work, and my team has done a lot of work around making sure that we are creating systems and projects that enable people to understand the value of working as a whole. We've completely revamped our global bonus system, and we have tried to also create some programs that would kind of unite us, not just at the head level, but at the heart level as well. Okay, so I'm going to start out with a very important question. Does money buy you happiness? Who thinks that money buys you happiness? Okay, we got a couple hands who think that money buys you happiness. So has anybody ever heard of an economist named Angus Deaton? He won the Nobel Prize recently, and he's done a lot of research about whether money and happiness actually goes hand in hand. And what he found was, at lower levels of pay, the more money you get, the more happy you are, because you're able to kind of get some of those basic needs met. If you move from making 20 grand to making 40 grand, you know what, you are happier because you've got a better place to live, you don't have to worry about paying the bills. But what he found is there is a point at which your happiness doesn't go up with the amount of money you make. He estimated it at about 75,000 US, which is about 65 grand sterling. So why is this important? I think it's because I fundamentally believe that our employees are consumers of us as businesses, that just paying them the right amount of money isn't going to keep them in the business, and making sure that we have our employees engaged at all levels is a really, really critical thing to do. Okay, here comes Maslow's hierarchy. Sorry to Matthew Taylor. So what we did was we looked at how we could make sure that we relayed this in a culturally kind of neutral way. meaning that we could relay this to our employees worldwide. And we do believe that all employees, regardless of their level, want to get to that top, being your best. So obviously we are focused and we have made sure that our employees have all of the basics, the market appropriate pay, that we've got benefits and perks that we can talk about, and we're really proud about the offer that we provide and the consistency that we're providing worldwide. But our team has really been focusing in the middle this last 12 months, and that's what we call belonging. Belonging is the intersection of inclusion, well-being, and culture. We rebranded this as belonging because, to me, inclusion and diversity are words that talk to your head. Belonging is a word that belongs to your heart. You go to a workplace and you belong there. Belonging somewhere means that you can come and you can be your authentic self. You can come and you can be vulnerable. You can come and you can say, I'm really having a tough day, and you're in an environment where that happens. So just before I arrived, there was a survey, within the first month of me arriving, there was a survey running, an inclusion and well-being survey, and you'll see that we had some not great stats. I mean, we had some of our employees said that 86% said they understood how their mental health impacted their work day to day. And on the lower end, only 31% of our employees a year ago thought that we had an open culture in discussing mental health. Now, I believe that mental health is really important to belonging. I believe that being able to come in and be your authentic self is a really critical aspect of this. So what we've done, and that's the innovation I'm here to talk to you about, is how we have really focused on this in line of, and really putting it within our reward strategy to understand that we need to look at the whole person. And I can't find the clock that tells me the time, but I'm sure I'm doing fine on time. Where's the clock? Oh, okay. There we go. Great. So, mental well-being, the right balance. So what we have looked at is creating a global intervention that looks both proactively and reactively at taking care of our employees so they can be their whole selves at work. Now, unfortunately, this slide is in the wrong order, so I'm going to talk about the proactive stuff first. The first is, and this session is not sponsored by Unmind, nor is it meant to be an advertisement for Unmind. It just so happens that we are a client of Unmind, and I know Nick Taylor is going to talk with one of his other clients in the next bit of this section. But the reason why we looked at Unmind, and for those of you who aren't familiar with it, it's an online app that enables employees to access it 24/7 from their phone, to look at small, bite-sized interventions around their mental health. It allows you to check in as well and say, how am I feeling today, and look at the patterns of that over a period of time. It offers meditations. It offers short courses. And one of my favorite things, and I'll tell a little anecdote, I'd had a really horrible morning, and I was going to do an external interview, and I had to pull myself together, and I went and sat in a Le Pan Quotidien and put the Unmind app on and listened to a meditation to get myself, and it really did help get me into the right headspace. We also, in the UK, partner with an organization called Sanctus. Has anybody heard of Sanctus and who they are? So Sanctus is very much like Unmind, is a mental health startup. And what they do is they provide coaches who come into our workplace for 1 day a week. And they are UK specific. So whereas Unmind was a global opportunity that we had to provide to all of our employees, and we have provided it worldwide, Sanctus is something that we have brought to life in the UK, our 3 offices in the UK. Now, Sanctus loves to say we all have mental health, right? Every day, each one of us have mental health. And it's an ability to stop and check where you are on that spectrum of mental health during the day. And when we launched Sanctus, and the 1-hour coaching sessions, we had a quarter's worth of coaching sessions. So all the weeks in a quarter, I can't remember, several hundred slots. And they were all gone within 43 minutes of us bringing this online. That said something to me. People were really wanting to be able to have a place to talk about their mental health, positive or negative. And then obviously this dovetails nicely with our insured benefit that we have with AXA, where we have Stronger Minds, which enables people to have direct access to counseling through that. Obviously, we have all the stuff under the reactive column. We have an employee assistance program. Our take-up last year is we had 5 people, 5, call the EAP. That says to me either we're not marketing the EAP right, or people aren't understanding it, or maybe we don't need it, although it's a greens fee. Would anyone consider taking out their EAP? Would they? I mean, that's the thing, and I'd be curious to anyone who's more successful in getting their EAP engagement. We have trained about 70 people to be mental health first aiders, and that has been a massive success. They all wear blue lanyards, so that if you're in the office and you feel like you need someone to talk to, you can find someone with a blue lanyard. And they're not meant to be counselors. They're not meant to be trained to solve your problems, but they're a good ear, and they can signpost you to these other interventions. We obviously have life assurance, and we also have just started suicide prevention course. We've had the first kind of cohort with that. So when we launch these interventions, I think one of the things that I really want, one of the lessons I learned about this, especially on Unmind and Sanctus, was that we had our executives behind it. We did a road show, including myself and our CEO, and we went around and we talked about how important this was, and we tried to destigmatize it to the extent that we could. We gave people permission to take this space, and they did. They took it up in droves. So hot off the press, I'm going to actually go back a couple of slides. So remember this slide. So hot off the press, because this survey is running again now, is that on that question, the question that says we had 44% of our employees are aware of the mental health and well-being support available to them. The survey running right now, 71% of our employees are aware of that. I am incredibly proud of that, because that awareness is the first step. Really, really proud of the work that my team has done. And 31%, last time we did this survey just a year ago, only 31% of our employees thought that Just Eat had an open culture in discussing mental health. I'm so, so pleased to say that today is 68%. That, to me, is a huge success. So I know today we're meant to be talking about innovation. To me, this is innovation. This is reward, guys, because just paying the right thing and just having a good pension plan and just having employee discounts isn't going to be enough anymore, because our employees can shop us. They have a choice about who they work for, especially when you're a technology company like Just Eat is. Okay. Key takeaways. See what I did there? Cute little takeaway pun. Role of the leadership. So if you're going to set down this path, really encourage you to get your leaders involved, get them out in front of them, in front of your employee population, and really encourage them to create the space for people to step into around their mental health. The second is your employee is a consumer. They're a consumer of you as an employer, so think out of the box. If mental health well-being isn't your thing, that's fine, but find something that's going to differentiate you from all the other great employers there are out there, and there are tons, especially if you're in the tech world. Unleash your workforce. We survey our guys a lot, and we feed back to them a lot. They provide us so much inspiration about what they're looking for, so really listen to your workforce, make sure you're taking visible action that they can see, and make sure that they understand that their voice is important to you. And the final thing is differentiation. As I said, there's tons of great employers out there. Find your kind of piece of differentiation and talk to your employees and the press and everybody outside of it about it. So that's my end of my prepared remarks. It leaves a few minutes for questions if anybody has any questions.